Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Since we are quickly approaching Halloween, I thought that today's video should have a bit of a spooky vibe to it. Today I will be sharing 10 locations with you that are supposedly haunted. Now, all 10 of these locations are located in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Some of these locations I had heard of growing up here, others I researched. So if you're a fan of ghost stories, sit back as we go through our 10 locations. Our first location is located on Highway 101 near Cannon Beach, Oregon, and this story is the Bandage Man. Down a stretch of road on the coast of Oregon, a man is said to be seen covered in bloody bandages. While reports vary, accounts of this ghostly figure have been around since the 1960s. Not too much is known about the Bandage Man. But the story goes, years ago, a couple teenagers parked alongside the road in an attempt to create their own lover's lane. It was then that they were attacked by the Bandage Man. From there, more stories surfaced about cars being attacked, drivers witnessing his bloody bandages, or even smelling disgusting smells of decay. Some reports say that the Bandage Man does attack small animals, damages cars, or that even some of the bloody bandages are found attached to the car later. While there are rumors of this ghost's origin, no one has complete evidence of who this man could possibly be. Perhaps just a lost spirit stuck along a stretch of road. Our second location is the Roach Harbors Mausoleum in Washington. John McMillan started what would become the largest lime works in the West in the late 1800s. The McMillan family is said to stay nearby in an interesting and mysterious monument hidden within the trees. This location is known as the Afterglow Vista. Each seat around this table contains the ashes of a member of the McMillan family, and the monument itself holds very interesting symbols and meanings. McMillan was known to be a Mason and carried many Masonic symbols and meanings into the mausoleum. Surrounding the table are 7 pillars, one of which was intentionally left unfinished. It is suggested that this lone pillar represents taking a life too soon, or that the person didn't have a chance to finish their work. The seats containing the family members of the McMillan family contain all except for one family member. One son is missing from the table, representing the child that was excommunicated when he renounced their religion. It is also rumored that a governess of theirs was buried with them as well. Reports have varied from a sense of unease when people go to sit on the chairs. Others say they can feel hands reaching out to touch them. And some nights, blue lights can be seen hovering around the pillars and the table. In the original designs for the mausoleum, it was supposed to have a roof over top the pillars, but that part was never completed. Some visitors report that when you were standing inside the pillars, you were unable to feel raindrops falling around you. This place seems very interesting to me and definitely feels like there would be some ghosties hanging out around here. But my question is, why would you want to sit on those chairs? If you know that the family's ashes are in there, why would you want to sit around that table? Maybe it's just me, but I don't think I'd sit around there. Our third location is the Hatley Castle in British Columbia. Some may recognize this location as it's been used in many TV shows and movies. Probably most recognizable is in the X-Men movies. While no one has reported seeing any mutants running around, there have been several different ghost stories and supernatural events at this location. The Hatley Castle is an early 20th century mansion and was originally going to host the royal family during World War II. However, they ended up staying in London. This location was originally built by Lieutenant Governor James Dunmere. He bought the land in 1906. The home itself and the surrounding gardens were supposed to be one of the most impressive for miles. The property was sold in 1939 to the Government of Canada and was used as a military college from 1940 to 1995. Since then, it has seen a few more owners and it is currently used as a public Royal Roads University. The ghost stories first began in 1939 when the property was first sold. The hauntings and experiences within the home started fast. Some say they have seen Dunsmore's children walking the grounds and in their rooms. His daughter is supposedly wearing a long white dress, while his son is wearing World War I attire. Pots banging in the empty kitchen have also been reported on a few different occasions. The most terrifying ghost is that of Mrs. Dunsmere, who is rumored to pull people out of their beds as they sleep. No, thank you. Another report comes from a young couple who claimed they heard their baby daughter crying through the baby monitor, but when they went to go check on the child, she was fast asleep, and they continued to hear the cries throughout the monitor through the rest of the night. So while this location has been used in TV and film several times, it might have a creepy ghost history. Our fourth location is Pittock Mansion in Portland, Oregon. This historic mansion in Portland, Oregon was once owned by Henry Pittock and his wife Georgina. The Pittocks were known for their public service, helping with children's homes, homes for single working women. They also took part in the beginning of Portland's annual Rose Festival. And most notably, Henry Pittock helped make the Oregonian a daily newspaper. The mansion has since been turned into a museum, but is said to be haunted by its original owners. Tours are of course held at the museum, and visitors have reported odd activity, such as pictures moving on the walls, or the smell of roses throughout the house, which was Georgina's favorite flower, footsteps on different levels of the home, and actual tour guides have reported seeing figures throughout the house when they come in to open up the tours. While I couldn't find anything too scary that's happened at the Pittock Mansion, there's a good chance that its original owners are still there, watching over their home and the guests that visit them. Our fifth location is the Black Diamond Cemetery in Washington. As I said, the cemetery is located in Washington State and was once known for its coal mining area. The earliest gravestones mark all the way back to 1880, and it currently contains over 1,100 graves. The tombstones show the history of the town, of course, and some of the tragedy that plagued them. Gravestones show miners that passed away over the years, as well as children that died in the early 1900s due to epidemics of pox or influenza. Being as it's a cemetery, it's easy to guess that people have reported seeing ghostly things or creepy situations here. Some reports say they can see lights flickering on and off throughout the cemetery on foggy nights. Reports of someone whistling throughout the grounds can be heard, as well as images of a white horse walking throughout the cemetery. Cemeteries can hold a lot of tragedy and a lot of history at the same time, so who knows, maybe Black Diamond is haunted. Our sixth location is Hacienda Head Lighthouse in Florence, Oregon. The lighthouse is named after a Spanish explorer, Bruno de Hacienda, who explored the Pacific Northwest during the late 17th century. Long before him, the area was used by Native Americans for fishing and hunting. And at this location, the Gray Lady has been seen since the 50s. She has adopted the name Rue. Nearly every resident of this lighthouse have reported run-ins with Rue, or the Gray Lady. Reports include footsteps in odd places, doors and windows opening and closing on their own, as well as face-to-face encounters with the Gray Lady. Some stories say that there was once a resident of the lighthouse that in some sort of tragedy lost her child. It is unclear if the tragedy led her to take her own life at the lighthouse as well, but the story goes the Gray Lady is in search of her lost child. One main incident reported was when the man was cleaning the attic windows. When he glanced inside, he saw a clear reflection of the Gray Lady hovering above the attic floorboards. Terrified by what he had seen, the man ended up breaking the window and vowed never to return to the lighthouse again. The next day, another worker went into the attic to clean up the broken glass and found the glass pieces already swept up into a neat pile. So does this ghost have a thing for cleanliness? Is she looking for her lost child? Many different stories of the Gray Lady surface, and I'm sure as time goes on, we'll hear more stories of Rue. Our seventh location is Kel's Irish Pub, located in Seattle, Washington. Long before it was a pub, it served as a mortuary, handling the mass amount of dead bodies from mining accidents, plagues, or general violence in the early 1900s. The Butterworth building was built in 1903 and was the first building in Seattle to be specifically built to be a mortuary. In the end, seeing lots of death in its time. To this day, pub workers claim that they work alongside spirits that are left on the property. Mirrors are known to shatter at this location, plaster falls from the walls, glasses slide off the countertop with no explanation as to how, or things will suddenly break for no reason. The TV show Ghost Hunters has even made a stop at this Seattle pub. With how much tragedy and how much death this location has seen, you gotta wonder if at least some of the spirits stuck around. Our eighth location is the Ross Bay Cemetery, located in British Columbia. This is supposedly known as a beautiful location. Its beautiful trees, plants, grave designs add to the atmosphere of the location, as well as the large granite monuments and the views of the mountains and ocean. This land sits right beside the Pacific Ocean and ranges 27 acres. This cemetery opened in 1873, It is named after the original owner, Isabel Manville Ross. She was the first registered independent woman landowner in British Columbia. While a few ghosts are reported to reside here, Isabella Ross is the main story. Before the land was turned into a cemetery, her farm stood in the same location. She is rumored to haunt the cemetery and walk the land, looking over what used to be her property. Number 9 is Cathedral Park in St. John's, Oregon. This park is also known to some as a haunted location. While most sightings happen at night, they still leave an eerie feeling. The story stems from a case over 60 years ago. In August of 1949, a 15-year-old girl named Thelma was waiting in St. John's for her bus. Sadly, she was kidnapped by an ex-convict named Morris Leland and was later murdered when she tried to call for help. The chilling ghost story goes that guests can hear a woman screaming at night from within the park, as well as someone yelling for help during the summer months. Although court documents show that Thelma was not murdered directly under the bridge, as some of the stories say, but several blocks away. People still report hauntings under the St. John's Bridge and claims of hearing a young girl screaming for help. This story gives me the chills, especially when I did more research into the actual case. It's very tragic and it kind of makes it all the more eerie to me. Our final location is the Campbell House in Spokane, Washington. This house, located in Washington State, has reported several different supernatural occurrences throughout the residence. The house belonged to Amasa B. Campbell and his wife, Grace. In 1898, Campbell and his business partner moved from Idaho to Spokane for better business opportunities. This residence is currently the Museum of Art and Lifestyle. The most popular reports within the Campbell home include eyeballs moving along the pictures and the sound of children playing throughout the house. The main story about the Campbell house is about the children that lived there in the early 1900s. The story goes that 3 of the Campbell children were murdered by an intruder, and the 4th child was abducted and never seen again. While this makes for a great ghost story, the facts aren't really there for it. It seems that the Campbell family only had one child, a daughter named Helen, and she lived from 1892 to 1964. But still, guests still can't help but get a creepy vibe every time they walk into the Campbell house. I hope you enjoyed these 10 spooky locations and maybe learned a little bit more about the Pacific Northwest. Halloween is fast approaching and I'm super excited. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!